The Acre Scrapbook is the second segment of the seventh episode of the second season of the Book of Pooh, and I really enjoyed this. It starts off with Pooh Bear in his pajamas and he makes a promise to Piglet, but he's worried that he's going to forget this promise. And Rabbit gives him a really good tip of writing it down in the notebook that he gives Pooh Bear. But of course, Pooh Bear can't write, and that's a bit of a stumbling block. So it's all about finding ways to remember things, the importance of remembering things, and a very visual way that you can create a visual representation of memories that you want to keep forever. Of course, a scrapbook's quite an extravagant way of remembering something, a promise that you've kept, but it is a very fun, creative, visual way of storing memories. And I think encouraging particularly young children who have perhaps not yet learned to write to create scrapbook pictures instead, it's a really great way of helping them to, first of all, create memories. I would love if I'd created a scrapbook as a child, 5, 6, 7 years old. I'd love to see that today. I'd love to know what was important to me at that young age, important enough to create a scrapbook out of it. I say this now, in 15, 20 years' time, I'm probably going to say the same thing about me at this age. It doesn't mean I'm going to go and do scrapbooking, but this certainly made me want to consider doing it. I am a writer, I have no visual artistic skills at all. But of course, that doesn't really matter when you're just scrapbooking, and I think for young children, particularly who can't write down their memories yet, it's a really great way to provide a visual representation of things that they love, things they've enjoyed. It's also just very creative and very good fun. And I think anything that's practical, that gets children using their hands and thinking about colours and shapes, and most children love cutting and gluing and sticking anyway. I think it's very inspirational and something that's very beneficial as well. I wish I had a scrapbook as a child. I'd love to see that now. So if anybody's watching this episode with their children, if your children make a scrapbook, keep it because they may one day really want to see that. I wish I had my art. I mean, my art was terrible as a child. It's terrible now. But I think there's something beautiful about the things we draw and create as children. And this episode really helps to encourage that. With regards to the actual narrative itself, it's not the most interesting. The things that happen are not the most fascinating, but there are a lot of really useful tips, things that Pooh Bear can put into practice, and it's a great way to help manage anxiety as well. I don't know if many young children feel anxiety about the worry that they'll forget something, but certainly it's very possible. And by providing them with tools to overcome that, that can only be a great thing. The puppetry work is very good, the narrative flows very well. As I said, the specifics of the narrative may not be the most interesting, but I think the topics that it's exploring are pretty great, very beneficial, and if it encourages creativity as a fun way to get busy, be productive, and preserve memories, then I think that's a pretty brilliant thing.